Dave Graney, welcome back to Australian Musician.
Hello, Greg. Happy to be here.
We're talking about these shows coming up celebrating Lou Reed, the Velvet Underground and Nico in Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne and Adelaide with a fabulous cast, including Robert Forster, Mick Harvey, Rob Snarski and Stefanie Duzel and yourself, and a great band. What was your earliest connection to Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground?
Well, I first heard Lou Reed's solo work when I was a kid, when Transformer came out, I guess, and I guess in excuse me, quick succession, I heard Transformer and Rock and Roll Animal, probably the first album, and kept up with it, through. Yeah, I remember a friend buying Metal Machine Music. This is in Mount Gambier, South Australia. Metal Machine Music was his famous double album of just a single tone for something like 20 minutes each side that he put out somehow, and it affected artists' relationships with record companies to this day. And it looked amazing. It looked great. The cover of it was incredible, and the kind of liner notes from him were very just It was like as a teenager, wow, Lou's up to something here. This must be great. and, a friend, bought it. Spent all his money on it, pocket money, and telling us how great it was. Because when you shelled out for an album, you didn't want to say, "Well, this is complete rubbish." It's like one buzzing sound for 80 minutes, and so it was. That was an amazing event. I just stayed, listening to his stuff. That period, he was putting out a lot of stuff as well as Velvet Underground stuff being re-released. I think during that period, live at Max's, Kansas City, and Velvet's Live in '69. That great double album came out, sometime in '74, '75, and he toured here three times: '74, '75, '77. And my partner Claire Moore went to all those gigs as a teenager, but I didn't see any of it. I saw him in 1985, which was a different period for him. He stopped drinking around 1980, I think. And anyway, so my earliest ones were Transformer, which had a hit single. It was a pop kind of album moment. I'd listen to the album at friends' places. Don't think I heard the songs on radio or anything. I heard the album at friends' places. It had the aura of David Bowie on it. It had great, Walk on the Wild Side was just a great, great kind of hit single for an album. Looking back on it now, I can see it. It had that great Mick Ronson guitar on it, on really boxy, contained sound that he had that powered up songs and didn't take up too much room. It had David Bowie's great way with backing vocals, but it had Lou Reed's incredibly good songs built out of his own truth and reality, like Walk on the Wild Side's just a roll call of characters at the Andy Warhol's factory. Yeah, so it just flowed out of him. It was really great.
Yeah. So who curated this bunch of musicians for these shows, and who gets to decide who sings what?
This is all from a production company in Sydney called Metropolis Touring, I think. And I've done something with them before, and and Paul McDonald was the say musical director on that one, and he's on this one too. And he's a really great guy, and usually really gets a really good band together. And it sounded good to me, like something to do early next year, something fun to do, something different. And I know Robert Forster, I know Mick, and I know Rob Snarski, and it just seemed like something good to do. So, and they asked, what songs do you want? And I suggested some, and only one of them somebody else had already kind of taken. So, yeah, the ones I was choosing are all from his solo albums. I'm not doing any Velvet Underground ones. I just wanted to do upbeat kind of groovers, and that's all I want to do. I don't want to play guitar. I just want to dance around and sing some Lou Reed songs.
Yeah, got into Lou Reed with his live albums, Rock and Roll Animal and Lou Reed
Mm,
Live,
mm,
mainly because of Steve Hunter and Dick Wagner's
mm.
contribution. Will this band incorporate the spirit of those guys, or will they play more in the mode of Billy Morrison?
You'd have to ask Paul about that. Yeah, Rock and Roll Animal was great, and to this day, the opening of it is thrilling with Steve Hunter and Dick Wagner. And what a great name for a metal guitar player Dick Wagner is. And I think I did some research because I did a story. I found out about Lou Reed playing in Albury in 1977, and I spoke to a journalist who was there, who reviewed it and interviewed him in Albury for a local paper. I'll send you a link to it. And yeah, I looked into Lou Reed's touring bands because I was fascinated how he met people and got them to play with him. Because sometimes people think that just happens, but I know Bob Dylan finds it hard to get people to play with him because they're just staring at him mostly. They're just awestruck by, and it's hard. It's hard for him to do that. So he has to work out strategies to snap them out of it. And so I think he records quickly, for instance. But Bob Ezrin, the young producer, produced Berlin, and he brought in Dick Wagner and Steve Hunter into Lou's touring world. And I found out a lot of Lou's early touring bands, aside from his first one, came from Canada, which is across Lake Ontario to New York State. And yeah, Bob Ezrin is from Canada. Yeah, and but yeah, I love the thrilling nature of that. And lots of Velvet Underground fans absolutely hated that metallic sound of like Velvet Underground snobs hate that sound, but they're equally as good, I think. Velvet Underground albums and then Lou Reed's turn to go full metal on them. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Do you think Velvet Underground would have been as revered without the Andy Warhol connection?
I think it certainly helped them and the whole New York, you know, ground zero to the art world and to the low life. And they were documented so endlessly by photographs and great Super 8 films and everything. And they just had that New York attitude. But I think eventually by the late 70s, to be from New York for an American act was not a good thing. It was seen as a negative. It was like only people in New York will like this. People in Kansas won't. So groups like Television and Richard Hell and the Voidoids couldn't leap out of New York. But Talking Heads could because they were prepared to tour endlessly. But yeah, so Lou Reed had to battle his own legend and a lot of his time of just the thrilling kind of changes he did in that 70s period. Like Iggy Pop, to develop a ongoing career, it took a lot of dedication and work from them. Yeah, I admire Lou Reed for that. Mm.
Yeah. Did you ever visit New York during the Warhol era?
No, I was far too young. That's like a 60s period, yeah. But I went to New York first in about 1984, and it was still quite terrifying. Escape from New York, kind of, what wild place. I went back years later, and it was like a theme park, really.
Yeah, I was actually in New York in '84 and went to a venue where Warhol was presenting a party for Holston, the designer.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That would have been full on like interview magazine territory, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I was a young Australian teen, full of alcohol. I don't remember much about it, but I do remember seeing Andy's face.
Yeah, was it summer or winter?
Winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Lou Reed has famously had an interesting relationship with the media.
Mm.
Um, if you could ask one question to Lou Reed, what would you ask him?
Um, yeah, well, I think he tried to control his image after a while, and he just got the reputation of being grumpy. but there was nothing much he could do. Yeah, I just loved the way he would be funny in interviews. I love there's a series on YouTube where when he came here in the 70s, and it's like like he's just baiting all these journalists, even ones who were on his side. But I loved. I wouldn't ask him anything really. I quite, you know, but I would like to be there to observe him. And he said to one person one time in the 80s, he said, yeah, since I've given up smoking, my voice is better. And as he was doing it, he was lighting up a cigarette. and, and the journalist said, but, you know, what are you doing? And he goes, who are you going to believe, me or your eyes? I just loved the way he would say things like that.
So when you get to rehearse with these guys,
Yeah, like I said, I'm from Melbourne, so's Mick and Rob Snarski, and Robert's from Brisbane, and the band is from Sydney. So a couple of days before we do the first Sydney gig, I would say.
yeah. What are you looking forward to most about these shows?
Oh, just it should be fun. You know, I like the songs I've chosen, and yeah, I've chosen some upbeat kind of groovers. I don't know how they'll arrange the show, like whether I come on and do mine, and then you know, or whether they're all coming on and off, you know, differently. I don't know how they're going to arrange that.
Yeah. Do you think Lou Reed is properly recognized in music culture, or do you think he's misunderstood?
Oh yeah, I guess everybody's misunderstood in a way, but yeah, I think his music's probably still all available. His he's had several biographies written about him during different periods. You know, there's a major exhibition in Paris of the Velvet Underground just by themselves. You know, but I saw that about 2017 or something. Yeah, he's got pretty much a lot of attention. I think I did love one of the documentaries I saw about them, but I only loved it when they got out of the factory scene, and it was people like Jonathan Richman talking, other musicians talking about them. It was really great, and yeah, they were very interesting in the kind of the nature of them. The Velvet Underground, I'm talking about, the nature of them had opposites in them within the band. You know, really good players, really primitive players, quite avant-garde stuff, but 1940s avant-garde in John Cale, and 1960s primitive pop writing with Lou Reed. In some ways, they were like punk, which they were part of the DNA of punk. They were radical but conservative. They had the two things in them, because punk had an imperative to go back to something as much as it was leaping forwards. Yeah. So they're a very interesting group.
Yeah. I guess Metal Machine Music won't feature in these shows.
Maybe they could play. That's a good idea. Maybe they'll play that in the between
Yeah,
between opening and at the end. That's a good suggestion.
yeah. The walk-on music.
Yes.
All right, Dave, it's been great to chat, and we look forward to these shows.
Thank you, Greg. I'm going to put out a new album myself next year with Claire, so I'll make sure I send you some stuff. It's going to be a rock album. Yeah.
Okay, when can we expect that?
I think I'll put out a single in early next year, and the album is called Laburnum of the Mind, and that'll probably come out in the first half of next year. I hope. Yeah.
All right, we'll catch up then.
Okay. Thank you, Craig.
Thanks, Dave.